I have an incredible special guest. I can't even put into words right now. So we have Bob Roth of the David Lynch Foundation. So for those that aren't maybe as familiar, in 2016, I was running through an airport and I saw this book and I was like, it's David Lynch. It's got to be creative. I'm just going to grab it and I'm just going to, throw it in my bag and maybe I'll open it up on the flight. I opened it up as the plane took off and I literally read this end to end on that flight. And I just devoured the book because, like, as a creative, I mean, I'm a concert pianist, I'm a composer. This resonated in a way nothing else has. And as soon as I landed, like, I called my wife and I was like, I've got to find out how to do this. Like, I literally need to go and learn Transcendental Meditation. This book changed my life. And so in 2017 is when I started doing Transcendental.
Where did you learn?
And so at the time I was living in Charlotte, North Carolina. So that's, I was able to find a teacher there. And then I've since have gifted it to one or two friends as well. That's been really tremendous. I want to be very cognizant of your time. You're absolutely so gracious with giving me your time.
I'm very happy to be here with you. I appreciate what you do, who you are, and the way you conduct these, and I think you bring an important message, so I'm happy to be with you.
Well, today is World Mental Health Day when this is releasing, and so I thought what better avenue to talk about something like mental health and meditation. So, Bob, for people that have no idea, and this, when I teach meditation around universities, one of the things I hear the most is, you know what, that's just one more thing on my plate right now. Like, it's so heady, it's so scholastic, I don't even want to, like the word meditation, it kind of carries like some weight to it. Can you help someone unwrap that a little bit?
Well, the word meditation itself is a little confusing because we think there's a generic meditation. And so meditation is difficult. You have to clear I'll tell you what I thought before I learned TM. I have to clear my mind of thoughts. Well, I'm a type A person. I have a million thoughts. And you have to sit in some uncomfortable position and I just don't have the time. I got a lot going on in my life and I didn't see the practicality of it. I wouldn't have minded the benefits that I heard, peace of mind, but the access to that. Well, transcendental meditation, to transcend means you could just say to settle down. I like to use the analogy of an ocean where you have choppy waves on the surface of the ocean, but the ocean is pretty darn silent at its depth. And so the mind could be analogous to that. Surface of the mind is the active gotta mind. But the hypothesis is that deep within every one of us right now, each one of us, we don't have to believe in it, we don't have to visualize it, but each one of us has a level of our mind that's already calm and settled and powerful and peaceful, source of our creativity, problem-solving ability, happiness, and we've lost access to it. That's the hypothesis. It's there, and transcendental meditation is a simple, natural, effortless technique, completely different from other forms of meditation that have that heaviness associated with it, that just is like turning within and just diving within and experiencing quieter and quieter levels of the mind. And then when that happens, because your mind and body are one, your body gains a state of rest deeper than the deepest part of deep sleep. That was research at Harvard Medical School and published in Scientific American. And it reduces cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone, reduces cortisol levels by 30 to 40%. If you get a good night's sleep, it goes down 10%. People with high blood pressure, it reduces high blood pressure, reduces depression, anxiety, burnout, and also wakes up the creative networks in the brain. But all that is fine. The main thing is the meditation doesn't require any belief. You can be 100% skeptical. I am by nature a sort of a science-minded skeptic guy. So you can be skeptical. You look forward to doing it. Sit comfortably in a chair for 20 minutes. Do it with your eyes closed. And what type of benefits have you found over all these years?
Oh my gosh. I mean, as a pianist, as a creative, so when I started learning TM, it's because it's a 5-day process. And as you well know, for those that are watching.
About an hour a day each day.
Exactly. And so like as a pianist, I'm 50. I've been playing since I was 5, so quite some time. I was like, you know what? I don't want to touch the piano for 7 days. And I want to see if there's like a difference, like a before and after. And that would be kind of the litmus test in a roundabout way. And so, Bob, I played with a freedom I had never played before. Like it was just so profound. I wasn't judging myself.
Wow.
I wasn't caught up in this moment of like this is what it should sound like. This is what people because for as an artist, as cliche as that sounds, there's a lot of things that we process, especially when we're performing live. It's just like, is this entertaining? Are they enjoying themselves? Am I playing too fast, too
How am I
slow,
doing?
too
Oh, the
long?
internal dialogue. The
Oh my
internal dialogue.
word, right? And so like, what it's taught me is to be able to just one, to allow that space to just like be present. And
Yeah.
I actually tell myself, I actually wear these bracelets because when I see them when I play, it reminds me, create space is the word that I use. This is like create space. And so for me personally, that has really been the end all. Now, let me tell you a really interesting story, actually. I did my first album with Universal at Abbey Road. And on the last day, I was really tired. I was kind of like, something just wasn't working. It wasn't clicking. It was around like 6 p.m. or so. I was like, I'm going to go and take my 20 and let's just kind of take a break for a little bit. Bob, I had the most unbelievable TM experience I'd ever had before. You know how like in Star Wars when they go like intergalactic or whatever, and like these like these stars are just like passing and everything. That's exactly what I was experiencing. I'd never had an experience like that before. So I reached out to my teacher and I emailed her and I said, does the location matter? I didn't tell her where I was. I was like, does the location matter at all? She's like, well, in some instances it can. She was like, where are you? I was like, well, I'm at Abbey Road. And she's like, are you kidding me? She's like, of course. She's like, oh my gosh, what an experience. But even like that 20-minute reset, I was able to go down and we were able to finish the last track of the song. And it was almost like a brainwash in a roundabout way. And so for me,
Beautiful description.
oh, brainwash is like my favorite word. So it just allowed me to just like be right there in the moment because like our minds want to be anywhere but here, right? Like, and our minds want to be anywhere that our feet are not. And so that's something that like I've been able to.
That's a great quote. Our minds want to be anywhere but where, yeah.
Yeah, still take it absolutely. And so for me personally, that's what I found. So actually, my wife and I we did it together. So we learned.
Oh,
We
so
learned
lovely when partners want to do it together.
so
So
cool.
lovely.
It was so cool. It's so good. Now I do have a couple of questions, and I just wanted to
Then I have questions for you too. I'm going to turn the tide on this. So go ahead.
Okay. So a lot of times we see stress as like a feeling, right? And so like, and that's something I've been asking my younger son. I have two boys, 12 and 15. And the other day, one of them was really having just, something was off. And I asked him, I was like, what emotion are you feeling right now? And he was like, I don't know. And I thought, how great is that we can just ask, like, what emotion are you feeling? And so the reason why I bring this up is because, like, we see where like chronic stress like shapes everything, right? But how does stress shape us in ways that we don't even recognize? And then like, how does TM like adjust that or adapt it, or does it, or is it one of those things where like something in the book, there was a tremendous quote. Sorry to answer your own question really quick. I didn't write it down, but it was just like, meditation doesn't make you a better person.
Doesn't what?
It doesn't make you a better person. It just brings out more of you, right? Like a deeper, richer you.
A better person is already there, just covered over by stress or a film of fatigue or a film of those things. And William Blake said, if you could wash the doors of whatever it is, the doors of perception, you could see infinity. So the ability is there. That's the hypothesis. Who we are is covered or masked by our traumas, by our chronic stresses that build up. Even there's a term called adverse childhood experiences. Even when the child is in the womb, some of that overlay can happen. and it prevents us from being the person that we are. People don't say they become a better, different person. People I talk to, they're just more of themselves. And that's what David says, David Lynch, more of themselves. I mean, I interrupted, I apologize.
No, not at all. I mean, basically the question was like, stress affects us so much. Like, are there ways that we don't even see the stress is affecting us? And then, like, how does meditation work with
So
that?
it's an interesting thing. I've been doing some research on this, and everyday stress. There's everyday challenges, pressures, demands. They say you're never going to get rid of stress. Well, according to science, stress is a product of two things: stressors, which are external demands, challenges, pressures. You have to be someplace, your car doesn't work, or your child is having a meltdown, or something at work, or whatever, or there's COVID when that happened. So external demands, challenges, pressures, stressors. The other component is called stress response. How do I react to those things? On time, in real time, how am I reacting to that? If I'm tired, if I'm fatigued, if I'm not sleeping well, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not taking care of myself, something happens, somebody says something snarky at work or something, it's like, now if I'm on top of my game, if I've meditated, if I've taken good care of myself, something happens and I go, that's not my issue. To myself, I think, that's your stuff. I'm not buying into that one. And it's not an intellectual thing, you just don't go there.
Right.
So chronic stress, but stresses happen. In the past, you get a good night's sleep, you do this stuff, you feel better in the morning. Well, what's happening in our modern age is that residue of stress builds up, doesn't all go away. Day after day after day, that residue builds, and they call that chronic stress. And you can Google this. Between 75 and 90% of all human disorders, mental, anxiety, depression, burnout, insomnia, physical, high blood pressure, common cold, some types of cancer, all have their root cause in that chronic stress. That's because at a deep cellular level, it throws the whole functioning of the nervous system, machinery of the nervous system off. And so now we're skewed, and now we don't have the resilience we had, we don't have access to our inner happiness, our inner creativity. So chronic stress is the bane of our age.
Yeah.
How TM deals with that? A couple of levels. By giving the body, in a matter of a few minutes, a state of rest deeper than the deepest part of deep sleep. Research now shows that one of the greatest antidotes to stress is simply deep rest. And in this case, rest that's even deeper than sleep. So that deep rest allows the brain, the muscles that have been tense to release, the cortisol levels and the adrenaline levels, which are in that fight or flight response from the sympathetic nervous system, cortisol levels to go down. It restores connection between the prefrontal cortex. Do you mind this much science here?
No, I devour it. Yes, please.
Prefrontal cortex, that's the size of your fist right behind your forehead here. And that's the CEO of your brain. That's the higher brain. That's that's where you have problem solving, decision making, judgment, planning, your sense of self. That whole thing under stress goes offline. So the best antidote, it turns out, to this kind of chronic stress, yes, exercise is important. Yes, good food is important. Yes, getting a good night's sleep is important if you can. But the number one antidote is deep rest, and the deeper the rest, the better. So to answer your question, how does Transcendental Meditation impact this experience of chronic stress? In the most foundational way. And there are other meditations, and I'm not a fan of people who say my meditation is better than your meditation. The way I look at it is different meditations produce different outcomes. So like you could take one pill and it's a vitamin C and that has that outcome. You could take another pill and that's vitamin D, it has that outcome. So there are some mindfulness type forms of meditation that can help manage pain and help us watch our thoughts and cognitive development. But they don't give the body this deep state of rest. They don't allow that neurophysiological chronic, that stresses to be normalized. Even the American Heart Association just came out and said that of all meditations, TM was the only meditation good for reducing high blood pressure. So the long answer to your simple question, very significant impact in reducing stress. And then what that does is it allows us just to be more ourselves, happier, less reactive, more appreciative of other people, more compassionate, think more clearly, just more our better selves.
You know, something that you keep coming back to is the reaction. And for me personally, what I found is that meditation, for me personally, I kind of build it into 3 steps. You have a thought, and you have a feeling, and then you have a reaction. So you have that initial thought, and then you have the feeling attached to that thought, and then you're going to react to that feeling either way, right? So if you have a thought of someone cut you off driving, and then now you're just like angry, there's your feeling, and then your reaction is bursting out or whatever. And so for me personally, what meditation has done is created that space between those 3 things. So it's like I may have the thought, but I've noticed when I've been able to meditate and really stay in a healthy, space of this, if you will, like if I have that thought, and then there's space between that thought and the feeling, so I don't have that like all of a sudden I'm angry or I'm disappointed or I'm sad or I'm lonely, then I've then created distance between that feeling and then that reaction, so the thought, feeling, reaction. And so for me personally, like that's what meditation has done. And the interesting thing is you were talking about different kind of meditations, different kind of responses and reactions. I have 2 certifications in breath work. So I teach it quite often. And the interesting thing is when I was learning this is I was doing breath work exercises for quite some time in lieu of TM. And I kept going back to TM because it really had the most to your point, resting, calming effect. And I don't know if it's because with breath work, you are counting or you are noticing the inhale and the exhale, or there are things that you're paying attention to. Whereas with Transcendental Meditation, I don't know if we just have the mantra, right? And you get to the point where it's such a quiet state. Scientifically, what is going on with TM that allows that deep rest? That, and I'm asking out of my own curiosity, that something like breath work or another form of meditation, even just conscious breathing or conscious walking, what is it about TM that allows that deep rest that nothing else does?
First of all, breath work is fantastic. I mean, it's a great thing, and a lot of people do it as a lead-in to meditation. So you do pranayama or something like that, or the box breathing for a couple of minutes before the meditation. That's great. They're completely different processes. And breath, so you have mind, or you have body, which is clunky, and then you have breath, and then you have mind. And we know that when we're anxious in our mind, it impacts our body. When we're agitated in our body, it impacts our mind. And breath is that sort of a lubricant between the 2. So you can, with the vagus nerve, you can do some breathing, and it can have some temporary sort of calming, soothing for both body and mind. Transcendental meditation you could say it's a technology of consciousness. It's pure mind. And mind is far more deeper and profound than breath. Breath is still on a physical level. So if you have that example of the ocean, choppy waves on the surface, breath is still up here. And when you transcend, when you settle down, when you're drawn to those deeper, more abstract levels of the mind, there's probably times you're not even aware of your breath, right?
Yep.
It's just somewhere up there, because you're really in that, it's like coming back home. I always think about meditation. It's coming back home. It's so peaceful and settled and calm. And the breath work can facilitate that, but it can never take us to that transcendent level. It can never take us to that. And transcendence, people say, well, what does transcendence mean? How is transcendental meditation different from regular meditation? If you look up in the dictionary, the word transcendent means to go beyond ordinary human limitations. And so you can have a transcendent moment when you go to a concert, and all of a sudden you go, oh my God. Or a transcendent moment if you're out camping and you see the Milky Way. Or a transcendent moment with a child. Just out of the blue, there's some intimacy or connection. It's like you lose sense of time and space, that awe. And that transcendence, if it's only outside, if we're looking for it outside, that's dependent upon my mood. Am I tired, stressed? I want to be with my child. I'd like to spend quality time, but I really had a tough day, and he's really kind of bugging me. And that's not what we want, but there's no awe there. There's no transcendence. The beautiful thing about transcendental meditation is it allows us to access that unboundedness that lies within. And that's for all of us. We don't have to be out in nature. We don't have to set some conditions. We just close our eyes and we use the mantra in an effortless way, and it just allows the whole process of diving within to take place. And that it's a game changer. And particularly, I was just thinking for you, you know who Joshua Bell is?
Of
the
course.
violinist? Yeah. I happened to be last night. The David Lynch Foundation has which I run. We bring TM for free to at-risk populations, and he did a benefit for us. And he's a meditator and does TM, and he just said it's a game changer for him. Joshua Bell is one of the greatest concert violinists in the world, and he's mesmerizing. But before he started, he just talked about the importance of diving within. And mindfulness, those things I like to say, they're cognitive processes. It's like pertaining to your thoughts, your moods, your feelings. That's great after you transcend. I say it's not an either or. First, dive within, experience your own inner unboundedness, that quiet, settled state, and then do your mindfulness. Then do whatever you want to do.
I love that.
Did that answer your question, or am I
very much? No, very much. It's interesting that you keep talking about the ocean. My dad, my brother, and I, we were scuba divers, and there was one place in particular that my brother and I went. And man, the boat was just tossing like crazy. And my brother was like, I'm not going in. I'm staying here on the boat. And I was like, I'm going to go. So I jumped in, tank, everything. And once I was under 10 feet.
I know. You'd never know what's going on.
You never know. And so that is so connecting with me right now, as far as when you keep bringing that up, it's like the waves are just, and then all of a sudden once you're in that state, it's like that really makes
sense. And that's what I say with the meditation approaches to try to control the mind. You're trying to stop waves. Just go underneath the waves. The waves are natural to the ocean.
That's so good.
They're fine. You can't stop them. Don't stop them there.
Yeah.
Access the ocean where it's already calm.
Well, you've been incredibly gracious with your time. I've got one more question. And
Great. I've enjoyed this a lot.
I'm going to let you go. So this podcast, Calm It Down, has over 7 million downloads. The largest group is female, 73%. And age 14 to 28, it bumps up to 32 a good little bit. And then also, I'm an ambassador at the UN for World Federation for Mental Health. And so I travel everywhere, hearing all the stories. And recently, last week, actually, I was in Tokyo doing a conference for a bunch of psychologists, whom many came up afterwards crying. So there's a lot of brokenness. I hear almost every single day, especially with the podcast, in this order: suicide, sexual abuse, and loneliness. So much broken. I don't even want to go into the political climate right now. That's not necessary, but it's there. What is one thing that you wish you could literally just say to every single one of those people? Not necessarily about meditation, but just about maybe some hope, and maybe what they can do to kind of plant that seed and then nourish that seed of hope and resilience, and just expecting the sun to come up tomorrow for them.
Beautiful question. This may sound unrealistic, but I would say be gentle with yourself.
Can you open that up?
Be gentle with yourself. Don't beat yourself up compare, criticize. I know the world with social media and everything, but in being gentle with yourself, being a little more accepting of yourself, then solutions can come. Then you can hear an inner voice, and you have an inner voice. Everyone does, and that inner voice can help guide you on the right path, because you have a cloudy day, thick clouds. It's a cliche, but behind the clouds is the sun shining all the time. And so if I know, when I was 18 years old and I went through a very, very dark time, and a very dark time, and I remember thinking, I was fortunate, what's the point? And before I was going to take some action, I thought, I'm just going to call my sister. She's my big sister, and I just say hi or something. And she had no idea. She said, hey, Bobby, come for lunch. Completely perky. And that mood, that thing just broke. And I remember walking. I was going to college at Berkeley. It was my freshman year at UC Berkeley. And I thought, there was a little parting of the clouds, and a little sunlight came in. And from then on, I just thought, I just have to be gentle with myself. If people are not going to be gentle with me, or I don't perceive it, just be kind to yourself, be gentle with yourself, and things will get better. And that's not positive, optimistic thinking. You plant a seed, and you water it, and it grows. The nature of life, given the opportunity, is to grow, and you will grow. And if you want to learn to meditate, you can email me. I'm going to give you my personal email address. You email me, and we'll find a TM teacher in your area, and I'll make sure that you get to learn. So it's bob@davidlynchfoundation.org, bob@davidlynchfoundation.org, LYNCH, and I'm in your camp.
I am so grateful that your sister reached out and made that phone call, because you have been changing lives ever since then. So happy early birthday, and thank you so much for your time for today. It means so much.
Absolute pure pleasure, and you are a blessing. You are a blessing.
Well, I return that sevenfold. So,
all right, I return it eightfold.